Yes.
I'd like to welcome everyone to this afternoon's agenda meeting. Today we'll review the action items that will be formally addressed next Tuesday, September 3rd at 6 p.m. Immediately following our agenda meeting, we'll have a work session. I'll call upon our city manager, Mr. Bill Burrow, to guide us through the agenda for next week.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the board. Your first item is consider Resolution R-24-151, a resolution authorizing a memorandum of agreement between the City of Hot Springs and the Hot Springs School District regarding payment for a school resource officer. And our Chief Harvington is here to present.
Good afternoon. For approximately 2 decades, the Hot Springs Police Department and the Hot Springs School District have engaged in a partnership of having a Hot Springs Police School Resource Officer assigned to the school district. Both the school and HSPD believe having this officer assigned to the district enhances the overall security of the students, faculty, and visitors to the campus and public safety of the area in general. It provides direct communications and information sharing between HSPD and the school, which could be very valuable in a critical time. This resolution will allow the police department and the school district to sign a memorandum of agreement to continue this arrangement. The MOA establishes that the school shall pay 75% of the officer's salary and benefits for 9 months of the year, and the city will pay the salary in full for the other 3 months, along with 25% of the 9-month period. This is the same agreement and arrangement that we've had for many years. There is no additional fiscal impact to the city outside of already planned and accepted budget. And the reimbursement to the city from the Hot Springs School District is $52,667. And I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions of Chief Harvington? Director Beard?
Yes, how many, is it just for one officer?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And this one may be coming to a close after this next year. You know, the schools have kind of hired their own police departments where we had school resource officers at several schools in the past. This is the final position that we have in that memorandum of agreement.
Hot Springs has what, 5?
I believe they have 5 on their staff now, yes.
Any additional questions? Thank you.
Next item is consider Resolution R-24-152, a resolution authorizing the purchase of an Americans with Disabilities high-roof paratransit van using certain fiscal year 2021 Federal Transit Administration 49 USC 5339 bus and bus facilities grant programs. I think I just finished that. In the amount of $100,938, and Deputy City Manager Lance Spicer will discuss.
Yep, that's a very good summation. Do you have the VIN number of the unit? The City of Hot Springs, as stated, is requesting the purchase of an ADA paratransit van. This will be a 2024 paratransit van. We'll be utilizing those fiscal year 2021 funds from our 5339 allocation. We have already obtained an amendment to the Transportation Improvement Program and the statewide Transportation Improvement Program. So RDOT and the Tri-Lakes MPO have both approved that. So it is in the statewide STIP, which is a requirement for FTA purchases. And the unit that we'll be purchasing, as I said, is a 2024 Ford Transit van. It does have a wheelchair lift. It will be replacing a 2023 cutaway style van that has 148,000 miles on it. FTA has set some metrics for when you can surplus these units, and that is every 4 years or 100,000 miles. So obviously this particular unit is well beyond that age. So this is a much needed purchase for paratransit, and request approval to purchase it with those 5339 funds.
Any questions for Deputy City Manager Spitzer?
The funding allocation is an 80-20, so 80% federal funding is $80,750, and the local match is $20,188 for a grand total of $100,938 for this particular purchase. I omitted that. Sorry about that.
Director Webb?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. What happens to the old bus, Lance?
We
For the old
will
van?
surplus that. We use GovDeals. That's a internet auction system, so we will surplus this unit to to anybody that wishes to bid on it.
Thank you. Do we have any expected bid offers? What could we expect to get back?
Not particularly. Generally, with these type of units, if you get around $10,000 or $15,000 out of them, that's a pretty healthy return on them. So that's generally where we set those, but it really just depends on the market, what people are looking for.
Thank you.
Any additional questions? Thank you.
Next, consider Resolution R-24-153, a resolution approving the procurement of certain playground system and turf safety surfacing for Kimry Park from Bear Commercial Playgrounds, Inc., pursuant to the interlocal purchasing system in the amount of $115,007.46. And our Sport Recreation Manager, Adam Ustry, is here to present. Adam?
Thank you. Kimry Park is the venue for many different youth and adult sport leagues, events, and tournaments. The current playground system and playground safety surfacing at Kimry Park was installed in 2008 and is in need of replacement. Barre Commercial Playgrounds offers playground equipment and parks and recreation sales and installation, and they are an approved vendor through the interlocal purchasing system. Barre has provided playground equipment, canopies, and pavilions for many municipalities and school districts in Arkansas. The City of Hot Springs Sport Recreation Department wishes to utilize its purchasing authority, the Purchasing Cooperative Program, for the procurement of a new playground system and turf safety surfacing for Kimry Park from Barre Commercial Playgrounds in the amount of $115,007.46. The proposed playground system is best fit for children ages 2 to 12 and would include 2 integrated shade structures, 4 slides, a rock wall climber, and many more components.
Any questions of Adam?
We'll have a photo of the playground in your packet as well. It does have a couple of kite tents above it for shade, which is something that's not out there today. So hopefully that'll help not only keep those amenities cooler, but also help protect it in years to come.
Oh, Director Holliday?
Thanks. Are any of the components considered accessible or barrier-free?
Yes. So the requirement for to be ADA accessible is 7 elevated pieces, and this has 12 elevated pieces.
Thank you.
Director Dobbs-Smith?
That was the question I was going to ask. Thank
Very
you.
good. Any
I love
additional?
that the answer is always yes these days. Like, it's just not even.
Any additional questions? Thank you.
Next, we have Resolution R-24-154, a resolution approving the procurement of a salt dome from Clearspan Fabric International, Inc., pursuant to the Cooperative Purchasing Program through Sourcewell in the amount of $97,957.22. And our Public Works Director, Ron Seavright, will present the item. Ron?
This unit's to provide additional space for our salt that we store down there at 436 Leewood. It's the same type of system that we have down there currently, and it's the other one's 2016 was installed back then. Next couple of years, we're probably going to have to replace that one, so we'll have this existing storage in place when that is done. But we have gotten down pretty low on our salt, and this will give us a little buffer during inclement weather.
Any questions? Thank you.
Next, we have consider Resolution R-24-155, a resolution extending a joint funding agreement between the U.S. Geological Survey Lower Mississippi Gulf Water Science Center and the City of Hot Springs for the city's flood warning system. And again, Ron Seabright.
This is an extension of our joint funding for our flood warning system. We work very closely with USGS for this monitoring system. It's a 3-year agreement. This year is going to be $86,000, and as you can see in the outgoing years, it's going to be reduced. Those prices were going to increase, so we decided to sit down with them and kind of reduce the scope on some items that we wouldn't need to reduce our cost in the outlying years.
Any questions on this item? Thank you.
Next, we have consider resolution R24-156, a resolution adopting the 2024 to 2028 Community Development Block Grant CDBG Consolidated Plan. And again, Deputy City Manager Spicer will discuss the item.
Yes, this item comes to the board after receiving a unanimous approval from the Community Development Advisory Committee at a publicly advertised meeting. The consolidated plan actually covers a couple bases for you. It's a 5-year strategic plan that kind of lays out the community needs for utilizing the Community Development Block Grant, but additionally it serves as the application to HUD for those Community Development Block Grant funds that we receive annually. One point, you probably see a lot of things come through from HUD and from Community Development Block Grant. This consolidated plan is that 5-year strategic plan. You annually receive those annual action plans. So there'll be 5 annual action plans as part of this consolidated plan. And those are the various projects that come in year after year. But the consolidated plan will be in your packet. It has received quite a bit of public notice. It was released for public comment on July 15th. Additionally, there were 2 public hearings held in concert with that on August 1st and August 15th. The plan was also presented at our SWAP meeting, the Southwest Arkansas Partnership. In addition, there was 2 association meetings and 7 nonprofit meetings that it was presented at. So the plan has taken in the public comment, no written. There were mainly oral comments, and they've been incorporated into the plan, and it comes to the board with CDAC's recommendation to approve. Entertain any questions.
Any questions for Lance? Thank you.
Next, we have considered resolution R24-157, a resolution approving a budget transfer from the airport fund balance to the airport operating budget for an extensive large hangar door repair in the amount of $32,000. And our airport director, Don Rollett, will discuss the item. Don?
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. On the 6th of June, a bifold hangar door weighing several thousand pounds experienced an operational failure. The door was in the process of being raised so that the people can use the hangar. When 3 of the 6 operational metal cables snapped on one side, and the shift on the weight cocked the door into its frame. It broke the frame in several places and some hinges. As a result, it was hanging in a dangerous position, and again, it's several thousand pounds. An overhead door vendor was called in to stabilize the door and lower it to a safe position to assess the damage. The action resulted in unplanned expenses with equipment rentals from United Rental and the vendor's fees, which came out to about $5,000. The repair of the door is estimated to be over $20,000. The last estimate I had was $20,284. The Municipal League insurance will not cover any of the expenses because it's not covered under one of their listed perils, if you will. It's basically usage on that. The request for a transfer of $32,000 will be used to cover the emergency response expenses on the 6th of June, and will be added also to affect the repair. And the repair, the $20,000.
Any questions of Don? Thank you.
Next, we have considered resolution R24-158, a resolution authorizing the filing and acceptance of a grant with the Federal Aviation Administration and the State of Arkansas Department of Aeronautics for the rehabilitation of runway 5-23 at the Hot Springs Memorial Airport. And again, Don.
This is for filing and accepting a grant for both the Arkansas Aeronautics Commission and the FAA. It's a 95.5 distribution on the grant, no cost to the city. This is a two-phase project to repair runway 523, which is the main runway for the airport. It has over years cracks, so we've had them sealed and so forth. So this project's going to remove that material, clean it up, seal it, and replace the runway edge lights and threshold lights, and then repaint the runway markings. This repair will extend the useful life of the runway until more significant repairs can be put in place, which we are projecting for 2027, where we'll be doing a mill and overlay of that runway. The project is conducted in 3 phases. It's going to require a total of 16 days being closed on that main runway. Phase 1A and B will take care of the main runway, runway 1331, which intersects it at about midfield, will be open and available for aircraft during that time frame. In phase 2, both runways will be closed for a 2-night operation to work in the intersection of the 2 runways.
Any questions on this item?
Mayor, this is a 95% Fed, 5% state for funding. If we receive that grant, it'll pay 100% of the
Very
of the
good.
repairs.
Thank you.
Next item is consider resolution R24-159, a resolution awarding a bid to Metro Construction Services LLC for the runway 523 rehabilitation project at the Hot Springs Memorial Airport. Don?
Staff recommends the awarding of this bid to Metro Construction Services for the rehabilitation of runway 523 that we just discussed. Crack seal, new lighting, and runway marking. This project was put out to bid with one respondent, that being Metro Construction Services, for a bid of $461,779. Garver LLC and the staff have reviewed the documentation. Garver had estimated it to be about $700,000 for the bid. It was determined that this looks to be a good bid. Metro's done work at the airport previously. This contract is contingent of the award of grants previously addressed.
Any questions on this item? Thank you.
Next, we have consider resolution R24-160, a resolution authorizing acceptance of a grant with the Federal Aviation Administration for additional airport improvement funds regarding the reconstruction of taxiways A and N at the Hot Springs Memorial Airport. Don?
This accepting of the grant is end-of-year money that the FAA has come up with. In the packet, it has 2 worksheets on there. That amount has not been determined yet, but it would be 1.6 or $1.9 million. The taxiway reconstruction phase is in 3 phases, and on your map there where it's circled in red, that's where these extra dollars would go to work on that intersection.
Very good. Any questions of Don on this? Director Webb?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Mr. Don, with this being a grant, I presume that there will be some kind of, requirements or obligations to maintain that grant. Will those be included in our packet too, as far as obligations of the airport and the city?
It's just the normal obligations as far as that's concerned for the airport, and this is the end of kind of like discretionary funds at the end of the year. This money would go into the project, which is phase 3 of the taxiway.
Okay.
So we already have that original money that we're setting aside for that. This would be additional funds.
Thank you.
Any additional questions? Director Holliday?
Thanks. Usually we do filing and acceptance of a grant, so I was just kind of curious as to how this money's coming in since it's not a filing. Is this, I know you said it's end of year funds, and so were we just notified by the FAA that funds would be coming? And We have to decide
Yes,
if we
ma'am.
want them?
Yes, ma'am. When we were in discussions with them and planning out the taxiway, they were contingent of determining what kind of money they were going to have left at the end of the year. So then they came out with this. And, they'll let us know which one it's supposed to be. Your packet should have a couple of worksheets on there for each price packs.
Okay, no, I appreciate that.
it-
Usually we have to work a little harder to have money show up, so.
This is more of an allocation
Okay,
through a grant process than a filing.
okay, thanks.
Any further questions on this topic? Thank you.
Next, we have Resolution R 24-161, a resolution approving work order number 23A 10991-3 to the master agreement for professional services between the City of Hot Springs and Garver LLC for the reconstruction of taxiways A, B, and C at the Hot Springs Memorial Airport in the amount of $153,800. And again, Don.
This is Phase 1 of the taxiway reconstruction project that we've been talking about, and it covers the bid services and administrative services as well as material testing for the Phase 1 part of the construction.
Any questions on this item? Thank you.
If we receive all of these, we'll have quite extensive work happening on our runways, so well overdue. Hopefully, we'll be successful in all of those.
Runways and taxiways, yes, sir.
We do have a public hearing to consider the proposed abandoning and closing of an undeveloped portion of Beatrice Lane located in Johnson subdivision in Hot Springs, Garland County, Arkansas. And City Attorney B. Albright.
Thank you, Mr. Burrow, members of the board. This matter concerns a dedicated right-of-way that was never developed or accepted for maintenance by the city named Beatrice Lane. It runs in a north and south direction just north of Cones Road. It services 3 parcels. At your last meeting, you set this date, or we are setting this date, for the hearing on it. We ran it through all of the utility companies. Everybody is fine with it, but we are waiting on something from Entergy to come back. They have a particular document that they want executed by the property owners. Since we've already published, or we're going to publish notice for this hearing, let's go ahead and have the hearing. We'll bring the ordinance back to you at the subsequent meeting. Surely we'll have the information back from Entergy at that point. You'll have a full packet at that meeting.
Okay, any questions of Brian on this topic? Yes, Director Webb.
Thank you, Mayor. If memory serves me right, B, is it not true that the residents that are nearby this lane are all in agreement that this is okay?
Yes, the petition that will be in your packet when it's up for your consideration will show 3 different ownerships, all of which have executed the documents, including even some anticipated quitclaim deeds and easements that will be required in order to facilitate the ultimate closure of this abandoned right-of-way.
Have you heard of any contesting at all?
No.
Thank you.
And of course, that's part of this notice requirement of the hearing. It'll provide constructive notice to anyone who might have opposition or have questions that they want to ask about this proposed vacation.
Any additional questions? Thank you.
Next, you have your first item under new business. It's considered Resolution R 24-162, a resolution declaring certain structures located at 846 Park Avenue nuisance and condemning same pursuant to Title 17 of the Hot Springs Code. And our Chief Building Officer, Mike Scott, will present the item. Mike.
Thank you. We are proposing the condemnation for removal of 2 structures located at 846 Park Avenue. The first structure is a single-family residence, and the second is an accessory structure that may have been habitable in the past. The planning department has had files on this property as far back as 2005, when based on the exterior conditions of the structure. We had requested an inspection of the inside of the home. Records do not show that our request was granted. Again, in 2017, notices were issued to the owner to make repairs to the structure, including repair damaged chimneys, exterior siding, and other structural damage. Since that time, notices have been issued requesting that the exterior of the structure be cleared of all trash and debris and what looks like to be hundreds of flower pots and piles of trash that have been dumped on the property. An inspection of the structure on May 22nd of this year found that they are wide open with missing doors and windows, having holes in the walls, floors, and ceiling, as well as collapsed foundations that are missing bricks, and there are no footers supporting the structure. Based on the Arkansas Fire Prevention Code and the International Maintenance Code, the building has been deemed unsafe, and we are recommending condemnation for the purpose of removal of both of these structures.
Any questions on this item? Director Holliday?
Thanks. Does the owner, are you still in communication with the owner? Because this is not an attorney ad litem, correct?
Correct. Both owners were notified, Mr. Montgomery by a process server and Mrs. Cushing by via certified mail.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Any additional, Director Beard?
The second structure has the same address?
Yes, they're both, yeah. There's two parcels up there. We're just asking for condemnation on RPID number 55916 is where the two houses sit. The other structure has a lot of trash. That's a different issue. We're not bringing that up right now.
So then only one is to be condemned?
No, both structures on 5516. They're both on the same parcel.
2 of the 3.
Any additional questions? Thank you.
Next, we have considered resolution R24-163, a resolution granting a short-term residential rental license to 288 Lake Hamilton Drive in Hot Springs, Arkansas. And again, Deputy City Manager Spicer will present. Lance.
I think I'm gonna fill in for Kathy on this
All
one.
right.
This is Kathy Selman's agenda item that she'll be speaking to you at your board meeting. But this matter relates to an STR property that goes back to August of 2022. As you may recall, a property located within an R1 zone requires a special use permit. In August of 2022, the owners of 288 Lake Hamilton Drive obtained the SUP administratively. That decision was appealed to the BAA, BZA. They upheld the administrative decision to grant the SUP. That decision was then appealed to the board. The board overturned that decision made by BAA and BZA. Which then denied the SUP. The owners then appealed that to Garland County Circuit Court. Earlier this year, the court entered summary judgment in favor of the property owners, stating specifically in the order that the city was to issue the SUP within 10 days of the entry of that order. That, of course, was done so that we'd be in compliance with the court's order. Once the individuals had the SUP, now they could go forward with the application for the license itself, the short-term residential rental license, which they did. Property was inspected, went through the routines that are required under your ordinance, and a STR license was issued. That decision was then appealed to BAA, BZA, and they upheld the decision of the administrative granting of the STR. So at that point, neighbors consisting of Charles and Elizabeth Howland, Sarah and Don Harris, Jeff Harris, Cameron and Holly Miller have now appealed that to the board. So this is your second time to hear the same property for two different levels of permits. One was the SUP. This is the STR license itself. Your packet will contain all of the information, some of the background information even from the SUP, the findings of BAA, BZA, and the grounds that are alleged for the appeal before you. As I mentioned this morning in an email to each of you, please remember this is a quasi-judicial determination. That means the decision that you make needs to be made on the information that you have here that night, not things that you may hear from constituents or things that they may email to you. Under the due process that's required under a quasi-judicial, if you do have contact, you're expected to disclose what contact you may have had and by whom and what that information might be.
Any questions of Brian on this? Thank you. Oh, Director Webb?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Will the court's decision or briefing be included in our packet too?
The order is in the packet. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any additional questions? Director Webb?
I guess I need to add too, will the transcript or, dialogue notes, meeting notes from the appeal that took place with BZA also be included in the
Yes.
packet along with the reason or justification for appealing?
It is,
Okay,
yes, sir.
thank you.
I believe both levels are included in the packet, yes, sir.
Okay, moving on.
Next item is your first ordinance of the evening. It's consider ordinance O-2426, an ordinance amending the flood damage prevention code as codified in Hot Springs Code 15-8-19 and amending ordinance number 6486. And again, Mr. Seabright will present this item.
Good evening. This is just some general housekeeping of the code. This year, we had our 5-year CRS audit. These are recommendations that were made by our auditor to improve our code. So it mainly pertains to specifications in flood zones for non-residential structures and manufactured homes, to make sure that we add the clause in there that all equipment must be 2 feet above the base flood elevation, which meets our requirements for freeboard for the city. So we included those in this packet here today.
Any questions on this ordinance? Thank you.
Next, consider ordinance O-2427, an ordinance amending the zoning map from R3 low-density residential to R4 medium-high-density residential for 1.94 unplatted acres generally located at 1355 7th Street and for other purposes. And Mr. Spicer will present.
Yes, thank you. The applicant is Mr. William Bird, representing Birdhouse LLC, and they seek R4 medium high-density residential zoning for that 1.94 acres of land that is located at approximately 1355 7th Street. The subject property currently is undeveloped and vacant. It is currently, the zoning classification is residential. The future classification is residential medium-high, and this is located in Board of Directors District Number 3. So the property, if you're familiar with it, it is just off of Greenwood Arterial, kind of in that vicinity. And yes, Harmony's pulled up a map there so you can
7th Street.
see it there. The surrounding properties there within your packet, you'll see a little bit additional information in there. There are office, single family, and multifamily residential. Additionally, the property is situated approximately 350 feet north of the Bent Tree apartment complex. That kind of helps kind of figuring out the location. The zoning change request demonstrates the compatibility with the surrounding development or zoning. So within the package, you'll have some additional information. I'm sure Kathy will do a very in-depth presentation for you.
Well, it'll be longer.
Yes.
I did, on behalf of Kathy and the planning staff, want to say, I should have said this earlier. She couldn't be here this afternoon. She is conducting public input meetings on the rezone efforts, so.
Yeah, so she's got the B team here filling in for her, so Varsity's doing something else. I think he's.
All right, any questions? Director Webb?
Yeah, was this zoning change contested in Planning Commission?
I was about to, at their duly advertised public hearing on August the 8th, Planning Commission did vote unanimously to approve that zoning change from R3 to R4, but I do understand that there was quite a bit of testimony at that particular public hearing.
Does the number 4 sound right? At least 4, and maybe 23 signatures from that area
believe
in
that's
opposition?
correct.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Kathy will have some additional information on that.
Will that be included, like all of those who had some kind of written opposition to it, and the transcript for the 4 that spoke
I think
at the
that's
Planning Commission meeting?
part of the packet.
Okay.
If those documents
I want to request
are,
that, if not.
Yeah, if those documents are in either Rick or Kathy, or Planning and Zoning's possession, we'll certainly make it, get it in the packet.
Thank you.
I think there's a link to the planning commission meeting, so
Okay. Yeah.
you can view that.
Thank you.
As opposed to a transcript.
Yeah, it may be easier to watch it. I wanted to speak to the term of transcript. You know, we don't provide transcripts of anything. This isn't, you know, a court of record, so there's no transcript, but you can watch the meeting.
Thank you. Any additional questions of Lance? All right, thank you, Lance.
Also remind the board that on both this item and the next one are rezones. Rezones are legislative as opposed to quasi judicial, so unlike the requirement of 288 Lake Hamilton Drive, these are matters that you can discuss with your constituents.
Thank you.
All right, your final ordinance of the evening is O-2428, an ordinance amending the zoning map from R3 low-density residential to CTR commercial transition from land generally located at 220 Gulpha Street and for other purposes. And again, Mr. Spicer.
Yes, the applicant is Ms. Lacey Griffith. She is representing the Union Missionary Baptist Church, seeking CTR commercial transitional zoning for approximately 1.17 acres located on Gulpha Street. The property is currently zoned R3, low-density residential, has a future land use classification of residential medium-high, and this is located in Board of Directors District Number 2. The property is currently and has historically been utilized as overflow parking for the church, and also additionally its location in proximity to Embassy Suites, the convention center, so it is somewhat used as overflow parking. It has 220 feet of street frontage on Gulpha. The Union Missionary Baptist Church sits directly across the street from this particular piece of property that's located at 219 Gulpha Street. This property is not located within the Pleasant Street Historic District. And additionally, within your packet, you'll find some additional information on the surrounding properties and zoning and usages, nearby land uses, churches, vacant undeveloped land, single-family residential, parking lot, community center, multifamily, and additionally there is retail. This zoning change request demonstrates the public need for land so zoned. The Planning Commission, at their August 8th, held a public hearing and at their meeting called for testimony and voted 9-0 to accept the staff's recommendation to recommend the zoning change to CTR for this particular piece of property. And I do not believe there was opposition to this with this particular item, but that'll be, a link will be part of your packet as well.
Very good.
How many give back to that map? In the event that some of the board members might do some independent investigation, I want to point out that lots 8, 9, 10, and 11 are the only ones that are being sought to rezone. The church also owns the southern portion of lots 6 and 7 and lot 4 that comes down to Garden Street. Those are not included in the rezone request. Didn't want there to be confusion because there are two parts of lots that are in that Pleasant Street area. So.
All right. Director Beard.
Thank you. The, is lot 203, is, do you know what that is?
203.
The red-
Address.
That's the address, 203 Pleasant Street. Do we know what's there?
That's Miracle Electronics, isn't it?
Yeah. What is it? It's directly across from the Web Center.
Which one is the web center?
That's 127.
127.
Oh, these numbers
Is
are
that a
the
barber
addresses.
shop? Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's was a barber shop.
Okay, so so Lacey Griffith is the owner, or does the church own the property?
Church.
She's the applicant for the church.
Okay, so help me understand, the lots 8 and 9 are currently being used for parking?
I believe
Yes,
that's-
they are. I
see that
I've
they
seen
are.
that's what they've been doing over there.
I think
So-
all 4 of those lots have intermittently been used.
Correct.
For overflow parking.
Okay, and so they're changing from,
Here's what they,
There you go.
Yeah.
okay, thanks. So they're changing it from R3 low-density residential to CTR commercial. If they're using it for parking, then why do they need to change?
Well, because
Or-
parking's not a permitted use in a residential area.
Yeah.
This kind of parking, assembly parking, needs to have a commercial zone.
Okay, well, I'll just take a look at the packet for my other questions. Thank you.
Any additional questions? Hearing none, this completes the review of the action items that will be formally addressed next Tuesday evening, September 3rd already, at 6 PM, right here at City Hall. And sit tight, and we're going to have a work session here in a few minutes.